Hey y'all, welcome to the Gramstead. I've got a busy day today. I am in the process right now of feeding everybody. I just have the pigs left to do. So I got to get out there and feed them. But today I am going to put meat chickens in the tractor. Thank goodness. It's always nice to get them out of the brooder and onto fresh grass. And so other than that, it's also, we are free and clear to plant the garden. Our last frost was just last night. We're not going to have any more. So I have a whole shelf full of starts to go ahead and get in the ground. Some tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers. So I've got a super busy day, but I'm going to take y'all along the way. All right, the pigs are fed. Hey, Big Mama. This is Big Mama and Big Mama's baby. Fed pigs are happy pigs, that's for sure. We had a ton of rain here, so it's a little muddy up here by their pens, but the pasture is really just starting to green up really nicely. I've got this subdivided right now into two pastures, so in a couple more days, I'll move them from over here to over here. Hey, Ginge. All right, well, before I get started moving the meat chickens into the tractor, I'm gonna go ahead and pull these off of the porch and out into the sun and give them some water. I'm actually gonna wait until this evening to put these plants in. Everything nice and watered. I cannot wait to put these starts into the garden. So like I said, I'm gonna wait until this evening. It's easier on the plant to transplant starts into the garden just before the sun goes down. That way they have all night to kind of settle into their final home. So it's usually, it's good to not just throw them out into the heat, into the direct sun. These plants have been hardening off outside for several weeks now. So you really have to prep them and make sure that they are ready to go before you just throw them out in the garden. So they need to be out here in the wind, this nice breeze, and a little bit of sunshine to get used to being outdoors all the time. So later tonight, these will go in, but now I got to deal with these meat chickens. Cornish crosses that I have right now, these guys are going on their 5th week. So they're doing okay. All right, so I started moving the meat chickens and remembered I have not installed the feeders yet. So before I put any more chickens in there, I'm gonna go ahead and get these feeders installed. All right, so these feeders are just wire tied on here. It's very simple. All right, so all 3 of the feeders are installed. I'm inside, by the way, our new chicken tractor that my farm helper, Abby, helped me build. It came out really nice. I can stand all the way up in here, which is a treat for sure. Here it is from the outside. Very lightweight. The water in the feeders will just move right along through the pasture with the chicken tractor, so you don't have to move them. So that is a treat for sure. They are all happy to be in the sunshine. That's so nice to have them in the sunshine and on the grass. The brooder definitely needs to be cleaned after running a batch of meat chickens through it. And these chickens were in there a little bit longer than what I normally have them in there for. They're almost 5 weeks old, and every day we've been cleaning this thing. But before I put a new batch of meat chickens in there, I really want to give it a good deep clean. So the pressure washer, and go ahead and hit it with that. And then I'll also disinfect it after it dries from the pressure washing. So I may not get to that today, and I have another batch coming in 2 weeks. So All right, got the pressure washer. This is the brooder. I just tipped it over on its side. All right, I've got the brooder all pressure washed and set back up on the cinder blocks. And of course I come out here and there's a chicken on top of it. Thank you, chicken. All right, so I'm just gonna prop this open and let it start drying out a little bit. Time to go get busy in the garden. All right, y'all, I finally made it out to the garden. It's a little bit later in the day, probably around 3:30 or 4 o'clock. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on putting my tomatoes in. I'm gonna start with my Homestead tomatoes. They stay a little bit smaller as far as a tomato plant goes. They're more of a bush style, but they do still need a trellis. So they're gonna go in the center trellis right underneath my arch. The Homestead variety does really well in the heat, which is why I like to grow it. And we've had good luck with it. So I've got my tray of Homestead tomatoes. I've also got my bag of Epsom salt and cracked eggshells. And then I'm going to side dress with some sheep manure once I get them into the ground. I'm gonna start with this tomato right here. As these have been growing, I have been kind of pruning off the bottom leaves. I had some damage to these early on. I'm not really sure what happened, but as they've grown, I have pruned them, and I am definitely an advocate of pruning your tomatoes. I really think that they benefit from it, especially in Florida when it's so hot and humid and so buggy. If you keep them pruned up, the funguses and the bugs do stay down a lot better. When they get all bushy, it just gives bugs a chance to hide and funguses a place to grow. So I've been pruning these. But when you plant your tomatoes, you want to do a very deep hole. You want to bury at least 2/3 of your tomato. So I'm going to go ahead and bury this tomato like all the way up to here, and it'll get planted really deep. So it'll look pretty puny once I put it in, but that's what needs to be done. All right, so I've got my hole dug. Next, what I'm going to do is put in a scoop of Epsom salt and eggshells, which will give it calcium and magnesium. It helps to keep blight away in tomatoes, and it's what I've always done, and it seems to work well, so I keep on doing it. A small scoop of the Epsom salt and eggshells. Gets a little scoop of that. And I've had some sheep manure out here in a bucket, just kind of soaking along with some mulch. I'm gonna throw that in the hole. And the sheep manure is not a hot fertilizer, so you don't have to compost it. Take this little guy out of the pot. Okay, so you can see there that's pretty deep down. I'm gonna give it another little round of Epsom salt and eggshells. Then I'm just gonna take some of my mulch that's in the rows. There you go. That's how I plant my tomatoes. Just gonna water it in real good. All right, first one down, a bunch more to go. All right, I've got my row of Homestead tomatoes in. Now I'm gonna move on to doing the arch trellis. I'm gonna put cherry tomatoes on both sides of it. I'm gonna start with the Chadwick cherry tomatoes. They are a larger cherry tomato, really good to put in your salads and to quarter up. You know, they're a good a good sized cherry tomato. So, and the plants are a really great size too. They have gotten really big really fast. So it's not going to be any time at all before I'm going to have to be attaching these tomato plants to the trellis so they can go ahead and climb up. So let's get these in the ground. Okay, I've got all the Chadwick cherries in. Now I'm going to go back to this back row over here, and back here I'm going to put black cherry, golden jubilee cherry, and fox cherry, which is a small red cherry tomato. I'm going to go ahead and start this row right here. In this row we're going to have green beans, and then zipper peas, and then black beans. So all right, so I went ahead and I've got all of my green bean seeds in this row. Basically, I did a double staggered row. So my seeds are planted a good 5 or 6 inches apart. But I did stagger them. That way we could get a ton planted on this small little row. These are bush beans, so they will not need a trellis. Although they will appreciate maybe 1 or 2 lines, just to kind of help keep them steady. It's pretty windy here, so the same thing will happen with the zipper peas and the black beans. Before too long, we're going to have a ton of beans and peas. I'm having such a hard time wanting to get rid of this broccoli, because every time I say I'm going to come out here and pull it, I come out and, I mean, they are just full of side shoots still. So I'm going to keep on cutting it. I'm going to let it stay. These 3 rows right here are my next succession planting of the green beans, zipper peas, and black beans. So that second round will go right here. So I at least have like maybe 2 or 3 more weeks before I really have to pick this. And over here, I have a double row of onions that are looking amazing. These onions are getting huge over here. And then I have these onions over here that I planted at the same time that are not getting huge. So who knows? This is my cucumber trellis that I'm going to use this year. These are old above ground pool legs that I've saved, and I've been using them for like 5 or 6 years now. So they make a little great A-frame trellis to run cucumbers up. So that's where my cucumbers are going to go. These are a couple other beds that I need to get cleaned out that I'm having a hard time getting rid of it too. But again, I've got another week or 2 before they really need to be cleaned out. But my kale is doing really good in there, and the arugula is finally starting to get the seed pods, and you can see a little bee right there too. So that's always a good thing. But these are the arugula seed pods. They just need to dry out a little bit more before they're ready to take off the plants. So. All right, well, that's a wrap for today. I got all the available space that I had in the garden for tomatoes. I got all that area planted. I still have lots of tomato plants. So what I'm going to do is probably pot those up to bigger pots. That way they're okay for a little while until I can get them out to some friends. And I have to finish working on my cucumber trellis in the garden before I put my cucumbers in. So I've got lots of peppers to put in, and then there's my cucumbers down there. So I'm whooped for today. It was a busy day, but I did get a lot done, so that's nice. But I'm calling it a day, folks.